everyone, it's Andy Glen here from Sharks TV, and joining me today is the head coach of the Hercules-sponsored Solway Sharks, it's Martin Grubb. How you doing, Martin?
I'm good, Andy. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Just reflecting on that practice at the weekend there. Who'd have thought 408 tickets issued for a practice? It's unheard of, eh?
Unbelievable. I mean, it just shows the level of excitement, and it's out there. The fans are out there. They're excited for this journey as much as we are, and we can't thank them enough for that turnout. And I thought it was a really good night, and hopefully everybody's happy with the group we've put together, and it's just the start of some special things for us.
I know it was amazing. It was good to get to the ice bowl and be with everyone, and there was drums and horns and bells and all the rest of it for a practice. I thought it was good. What did the guys think of it all?
I mean, they were very, very pleasantly surprised. I mean, obviously, when you look at that, even when you end last season, the following we had at both playoffs were unreal, and it kind of it was one of them where everybody thought, can it happen again? Will it happen? And the fans proved yet again that they're fantastic. That the community spirit, everyone we've got about us is still there as a Sharks family, and the players loved it. They loved it. So a lot of them, that was their first taste of our supporters and the kind of Shark Tank itself. So they were very excited. They were on a high, and I think it showed in the energy that the game, two kind of periods, was played in, and got quite competitive, and was nice to see.
Yeah, there was a couple of nice goals, wasn't there? Mason and
Yeah,
Callum getting goals there, wasn't there?
yeah, I think that it was played obviously in the right spirit. But there's still that friendly competitiveness, and we said early in it that we wanted to make sure that we showed the fans kind of that different level, and that we went up especially the tempo went up a speed, and the players bought into that, and a couple of nice goals, some nice saves. I thought without it being overly physical, there was enough of a physicality and compete level to it that made it more than kind of just that boring and monotonous going through the motions kind of scrimmage. It was genuinely a bit of compete in a little 2 period game there. So it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Thoughts on that versus a normal practice? I mean, I'm guessing for you that was more of a kind of exhibition type thing rather than a serious practice working on things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would go through something similar. The first 2 or 3 drills, we'd go through something similar on most nights to get the players' hands and their legs and their kind of timing going, warm the goalies up. And then the difference probably from Friday to most other nights is you would then start to break down a little bit more of the systems and the kind of planning and preparation for the season ahead. Having said that, having spoke to the players themselves, and especially a few experienced guys, I mean, there's no substitute for actually playing, so they quite enjoyed that little 15-minute period game to get some kind of genuine game minutes in their legs. So as much as it was a little bit more exhibition, it was definitely still a valuable exercise, and one that we'll definitely revisit and do again.
What did you actually think of some of the performances? I mean, for me, the defenses looked really strong. Both goalies looked really, really good as well. And although the attack is still not at full pace, you could sense folk having fun, and you could see it was a step up from last year, as you said earlier on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is the speed, the speed that things are getting done, the speed of that game, the speed of our practices so far. Even the passing, it's a lot crisper. You've got to be stronger and ready to have the puck. I agree. Both goalies I thought looked really sharp. I mean, considering I know Curtis he's been in Calgary, with the Steelers goalie and the goalie coach out there, but he'd only moved up here on the Wednesday. Callum obviously has been skating with us the majority of the summer, so I thought both of them looked further on in their preparations than kind of just been a week into our official pre-season. Defensively, I think we're looking pretty strong. Everybody skates well. Everybody can handle the puck well. Obviously, game situations like that are good for them to start getting, where the sticks need to be on the ice, and just getting a partnership. I mean, Liam and Kersey have played together before he went to Glasgow, and I mean, it's seamless for them. They just fit back in. But Kel's obviously playing with Olivier at the moment, and that's a relationship that needs to be built. But I think it started strongly. Struan and Ross Connolly have played a little bit together, and certainly been teammates. So again, just a little bit of work on that one. Callum McGill only came in on Tuesday. with young Chevy, and I thought again both of them have acquitted themselves really well, and Callum settled in. So I think that back end's looking really strong. We've got a lot of depth. Forward wise, I like our group, I like our size, I like our skill, I like our experience, I like our speed, and like it's just fine tuning now, getting to know each other, getting that relationship and chemistry, and we may through pre-season especially, we might play around with lines to see if there's something that we're missing, if somebody else can play with somebody else. But so far, I think we've got 4 blocks that gives us depth, gives us options, and I think more importantly, you said it that they were having fun. We said let's play, let's be a little bit more free flowing. There's zero pressure in that situation, so it's nice to see them have fun. Put on a little bit of show for the fans that turned up, which was again as we went back to right at the start, was fantastic. So I think all in all, it was a fun night, it was a good night, and it's been a positive week so far.
Yeah, yeah, you could hear them laughing on the ice. It was great. It was great. That's what it's about. It's about having fun, isn't it?
100%. I say that it doesn't matter if you're making $1 million or you're not making any money. People play the game for fun. They love the game. People come, coach the game, follow the game, and because it's fun. And that was nice. Definitely nice to see a bit of banter flowing, a bit of competitive spirit, and more importantly, a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was nice in the bar afterwards. Folk were quite chilled and relaxed, and loads of selfies and getting taken with the fans, and just a nice chilled vibe, wasn't there?
I think it was nice to see that, whether it was an old fan, a new fan, somebody maybe been just a little bit at the tail end of last year, and same with the returning guy, new guy, everybody bought in, everybody seemed really relaxed. As you and I know, we always continually go on about this whole Sharks family, and I guess a greater hockey family. And I think events like that showed that the relaxation and the interaction between players and supporters and even right up to the ownership and the coaching staff and everything else, that it was a relaxed family environment, and it was just really pleasing to see.
Absolutely, and you're right. We have talked about the Sharks family, and how's that team bonding been going away from the practice that we had last weekend?
Really well, really well. We had another practice on the Saturday, and then on Saturday evening we took the whole team, including wives and girlfriends, family, kind of support network to a local hotel, Friars Cars, and had a meal and a few beverages that allowed the whole group, again from John, David, and Phil as kind of owners and their family, right down to me. Curtis's mum was there, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. She was up for the weekend to allow him to settle in. So Curtis and his mum, people had, as I say, wives and girlfriends. Little Blair's, obviously Struan's wee one was there, and that was kind of her first weekend as that kind of out in the Sharks family. So I thought it was really good. It was actually really satisfying. I said that to Jamie and Craig and John on the Saturday night. It was satisfying just to sit back and watch both the players themselves and then the wives just feel part of this. Well, we know it's a special club, but they need to feel and see that for themselves. And speaking to some guys, I mean, I spoke to Barry, and obviously we know Barry's been around a long time, over 700 games in the Elite League, and he was saying it's one of the first times that both himself and, more importantly, Gemma, as his wife, felt so included right for the get go. And we made it very clear that we wanted to do this because no team can succeed without that support network, and the families give up so much to allow us to do our jobs, and if we can include them and make them feel special because we know they give us that ability to go and do our job, then I thought that was a positive thing. And you get Nolan and Olivier being in town for less than a week, they get to know people, not just their teammates. And I think it was definitely a bit of fun, good taste to just being able to bond, as you say, and put everybody together. And it was I was really, really happy by the end of that night, that just sitting back and watching everybody interact, and I think, obviously it's very early, but I think we've got the right group of people. I always talk about people first, and I think we've definitely got the right group of people. Now we have to net a little bit more on the ice, and obviously that's what these next 4 games are about. But I think we're in a really good spot right now, and long may that continue.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you've often said as we were going through all the signings and such like that it's about people first, and I guess you're right that people have to experience this rather than we talk about it. They have to experience, and that's really interesting that Barry's saying that he feels him and Gemma really included as a in the length of his career. It says a lot about our organisation, and it's nice to hear that it's continued on from last year, albeit with new owners, and that sounds like it's been enhanced more than anything else, Martin.
Yeah, I mean, like I know between certainly John and I, especially, we've said it to kind of anybody that will listen that this just felt right from the beginning, and credit to everybody in the past, from Ian as our kind of was almost outgoing chairman and supported this massively, to Les as our honorary president, and way back to Sandra Edgar, starting it out, and everybody in between. But the ownership group just embraced this whole. I guess the story initially was of the Sharks family, and as you say, that they've now, since the minute they've walked in here, they've felt it for themselves. They've felt included. The families felt included. So now, excuse me, the players are now feeling included in this, and their partners, because that's the vibe we want to put out there as a club. That's our thing. Everybody's in it together. Everybody feels valued. Everybody gets looked after, and everybody's respecting and appreciating that now. And as I say, just to see it happen from top to bottom on Saturday was just a very satisfying thing. And I just think that the players themselves, when we're going to ask them, to go to war, I suppose, every weekend for us, for our supporters, for our club, now after being treated so well from the minute they've got here, they're going to do that because they know they're respected for the club and vice versa. So people do, you're right, they have to feel this, I would call it a unique atmosphere here. I think we're well renowned for our team building, our even our fan base and our family spirit. And I think everybody now realizes that it's not a myth; it's a fact. And I say it's really nice to see everybody bonding and everybody.
These things don't happen by accident, though, Martin. It's down to you and Jamie and John Dunbar and Craig Peacock and the owners, and the likes of the experienced players, Stuart, Struan and Ross. All these sorts of things they happen, and they keep that that culture and that feeling going. So it's great to see. Um, Moving on, looking to the next weekend. So it's Steel Dogs home and away. What are you looking for in those games, Martin?
I think firstly it's going to be a fantastic test. I mean, the Steel Dogs, if you look, they're always a kind of top four, top five team. Last year they were a beaten semi-finalists at Coventry. The year before they were the playoff winners. Um, they have a lot of good players, a lot of consistency there. So for us, it's first and foremost it's minutes in the legs. I think there's no substitute for actually playing the game. So we're going to get two games under our belt this weekend, which is a great start. But we're looking to go in and compete. Results, people will say they're not important. And there's a kind of 50-50 for me here. Nobody will go in and get hammered. I think anybody that says that they don't care about that result scenario is probably lying. I think we want to try and at least be competitive here. Of course, if we can win both games or the home game at least, be a massive confidence boost for us. But I'd really like to see us progress each game and each period in terms of our structure, in terms of the chemistry we've got, in terms of up in the tempo of the game and up in the physicality of what we've seen in the past, and allowing me just to be able to use our full bench and give every player, that chance to really nail down a spot and show what they're all about. And at some point we're going to have to use our special teams, and we'll play around with that a little bit. And I think winning's it's not a necessity at this stage, because ultimately, if we lose all four preseason games and get the 2 points on the opening weekend, that will mean more to us. But we've got to take that steady. Our kind of mantra right now is continuous improvement. That each day's got to be better than the last one. I'm pretty confident going in here that either way we're going to put up a good showing over the weekend. I think we're ready to play now. There's a lot of kind of nervous energy built up, and ready to explode onto the ice. So if we can, yeah, if we can just harness that, if we can play with the intensity and structure that we've been practicing in, put some things together, we ain't going to get it right for the 120 minutes over this. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be tiredness. There's going to be changes. Everybody's going to get a chance to play, but I think that it's going to be great just to actually get on the ice, especially at home in front of our own fans, who I know are excited and buying into this as much as we are, and just see where we are. As I think, as I say, I think the Steel Dogs especially under Huey now, it's a great measuring stick for us to see exactly where we are. We then deliberately go into the double winners of last year in Leeds the weekend after, which straight away I asked for. I wanted to play Leeds to just see exactly where we are. It's okay. I mean, and we'll never take that away from our own group. That it's all right that the quadruple, the Shark Slam as we called it, is great. But I think, unfortunately, we've got to put that to the back of our mind now and say that's kind of history. That was a league below. Let's really see where we are with the next level, and then we can, after this weekend, we've got another week to build for Leeds, then we've got another week to build for the kind of real stuff, and ultimately the whole pre-season is about being ready for on the 23rd and come out with the 2 points in our first night.
Okay, yeah, I kind of understand exactly what you're saying. Shark Slam's done, it's in the history books. That group of players, legends to the club, forget about it. Next, we're focusing on the next thing. You've obviously got key things to look for from a coaching perspective, but for mere mortals and average fans like myself who maybe are not at that technical level that you are, what are the sorts of things that us fans, the kids that are watching, should be looking out for in these first games? What should we be trying to see us do, but even the opposition as well? What we're looking out for?
Well, I think the first thing that anybody will see, I don't even think it's probably a should. I think everybody in the building, regardless of if it's your first game or not, will see the speed of the game. And if you've watched, some of our, let's go back to that cup final last year. It was probably the most intense weekend of our season, and and both games were fantastic. And it probably was a slightly higher level than we had played in our regular season, but I think you go up tenfold from that again already in the speed of the game, I think the physicality of the game, and I think the structure. I think teams are a lot more composed on the puck. They make good decisions the majority of the time on the puck. Both certainly for ourselves, and I think both teams will be looking to transition that puck from defense to offense and go on the attack as much as they can. Put pucks behind the opposition's defense and get some offensive zone time. I think that this new league, this national league, is teams look to try and wear you down with offensive zone time, and they don't give pucks away very easily. So I think you'll see a lot of that. I also think for us, our defensive zone's got to ramp up a little bit more. You may see us block a lot more shots. You may see us try to contain teams on the outside the dots a little bit more, rather than giving up. I think at times it was, and it was not a criticism of anybody last year, because obviously the group and the achievements speak for themselves. But it was easy to switch off knowing that you were going to win 99% of the games. So we gave up too many grade A scoring chances. So we've got to be better, I think, in the defensive zone. And I think just how crisp the game is, how crisp the passing is, how hard the shots are going to be, probably how better and how more consistent the goaltending is. Something that everybody's going to look for, and that includes us. But I don't think we're far away from, as I say, being ready to go and show that. We're going to be, I'd like to think people will notice that we're a little bit more aggressive and quick on the forecheck. And ultimately, we do things that are just a lot of speed, shorter shifts. And again, in the league below, we were able to probably cruise a little bit at times. And now there's none of that. It's kind of real hockey. It's serious stuff for us, and that's not a take away from anybody or ourselves in the league below. That league's improving all the time, and I think that league will continue to grow. But on the National League level, people will see with their own eyes that it is most definitely a step up, and we've got to be ready for that.
In previous seasons, we've been getting 50, 60, 70 shots in some games. I take it we're not likely to be getting that many shots on on target in these games? As you say, more blocking the shots, things like that, or are we expecting, because it's so much quicker, there's still to be the same number of shots?
No, I think when you look, when you look back at that league, um, a kind of 30-shot night would be maybe an average 10 shots a period.
Yeah.
It's what you do with these shots, I suppose. It's how many grade A scoring chances, or how many rebounds can you stop at one end and maybe take advantage of at the other end. I think you'll see a massive difference in the generating the chances and how important your special teams become. But I think whereas sometimes in the NHL North you would throw pucks on net knowing that you could generate something, this level, the shots you do see will be of higher quality because teams are more patient. They're not just going to throw a puck on the net for the sake of it, because that potentially is giving up possession, and that can hurt you. So I think you'll see a little bit more patience in both teams, or every team that we play. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
a
I
little bit
think,
less.
sorry, I was going to say there, I mean, when I was interviewing Big Callum Hepburn, when he was signing, he was saying he was looking forward to this league because the shots go where you expect them to go. Kind of building on what you're saying there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this weekend alone. Jason Hewitt has played a lot of games in the Elite League with the Steelers. Bissonnette is a top end import in this league. Then you've got to add Jonah Phillips, who's just stepped down from,
Yep.
well, he's still a legend. I mean, he's a legend of the British game. He's our national team captain that took us to Pool A. You know, it's an unbelievable career that Jonah's had, and you're going to see him playing in Dumfries here this weekend. And I think every team is going to have. Whereas the last time you could maybe have one or two kind of players to watch, if you like, every team's got a minimum 2 to 3 lines. They've got high end skill, they've got size. We've tried to recruit. They've got speed, they've got youth, they've got experience. The kind of list is endless. But yeah, you'll definitely see a higher quality of shot, a higher caliber, probably a higher caliber of goals. I mean, I know we have been lucky here. I think we've scored some really nice goals. We've played some really nice hockey now. Of course, we want to try and continue to do that, but you might see some real ugly stuff here this year as well, by crashing and banging and just tip-ins and making sure that we get to the net. And if that's what it takes at this next level, because chances are harder to come by, then that's what you've got to do. So we've had to build this team a little bit more on an all-rounded team, whereas the league below we probably built a little bit more on finesse. We still have that, but we've definitely got the size and the grit to go win it this year as well.
Okay, so that's something for fans to look out for. You're talking about goals there. Just a quick word. Looking at some of the results from the weekend there, I saw Kyle Carruth managed to get 1+4 plus a penalty shot in the shootout, so 2+4 for the game. Man of the match in Widnes. Quick word on him and Big Keane as well, because they're going to be key elements there. That they're our younger players this year, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're under 18, and the league stipulates to go with a full roster you need 2 under 18s, and these two guys went out on 2 ways last year to get some game experience, and I've got to thank Stephen Lynch and the Capitals for allowing them to do that, and obviously aiding in their development. But they've come into camp. So far, they're both looking sharp. They've both just adapted a little bit already to this speed. And speaking to Joe Coulter, who obviously is a former Shark anyway, and a guy that I've still got a good relationship with Joe. He had asked for both Kyle and young Owen Ray to go and play on the weekend, and Kyle just showed his ability. We know what he's got. We know he's skilled. We know he's very, very good on the puck. He sees the ice well, and it was great for him to go and almost show that he could dominate that lower level now, and that he's ready to take the step up to the next level. And one of the keys, and probably any coach and manager at any sport on any level says it, is just keeping his feet on the ground and realising that was one game. It's great to see it, and we'll enhance him and we'll make sure he gets better and that he grows on that confidence he's gained, but he still has to come in like Keane and work hard, which they have, and learn. They've got to be, I think the word we used that came out a lot on Saturday night, speaking to some of the experienced pros and the young guys, and I think Mason used it in the interview with yourself, was just be a sponge. there's a lot of good pros here now. Take that information on, be a sponge, soak it up, and use it. And then clearly on Sunday, Kyle's shown already in the short space of time he's been skating at this National League level that he's taken on some advice. He's been watching and learning and using the ability he's got. And I thought it was fantastic for him to go down there. And I know I spoke to Joe briefly, and he was super happy with him. And I've seen some stuff online, so we're delighted with what he's done. And we expect both Kyle and Cian to make an impact this year. They're not here. I think I can't speak for other clubs, but we're very keen on this whole group. We're not picking 2 under-18s kind of because we have to. We want to have them in our lineup because they deserve to be there, and we want them to push other players to make them better as well as the whole group. And I think even underneath that, there will be news coming out shortly on the kind of next crop coming through, because we've still got another 4 and 5 of them in our group skating with us and just turning 16 and pushing them. So it's nice to have that youth development there and that pathway for them to go now to a National League. And if they desire that, then we can help them do that. But definitely good young players. They're both good kids. And I think with hard work and soaking up the environment they're in, then I expect big things of them this year.
I think that's the key thing about the Sharks. There is a pathway for youth players to go right the way through. You've often said that in the past, and that route's still there. I mean, it just shows the number of people that have been trained in Dumfries that are actually in our squad. And there's a lot of teams would give the right arm for the sort of setup that we have, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, and I think when Jamie and I met John and Phil initially, and then David came the week after, it was very clear that we wanted to keep our philosophy of our local talent, our core, if you like, our identity. And then when Craig came into that general manager job, and obviously we were recruiting together along with Jamie and I, along with Craig, and you got to give him credit, because again he's super experienced, and it's going to be a massive help both on and off the ice to us. But he was the same. He's like, yep, we have to. I mean, that will be, if that's our identity, that's where we're going to make sure they're looked after. We're going to have that local core, local guys then bought into it, and obviously we've added pieces to it. So, and I think, like you say, that the key thing is it shows someone who, whether you're 10 years old coming into the club or your last year maybe at kind of under 19 level, there is still a pathway to a National League team, and as we say, beyond, if that's what it takes, or that's where your career takes you. But it's important. It's important to have that identity and to have that local identity. And I think there's more of a buy-in then, and a more of a kind of relationship between the fans' recognition of a local player. But I think we've got it right. We've got the balance right here this year between the guys that stepped up and wanted to step up. And it was also important, I have to say, that I did tell the people that I was getting rid of nobody. So obviously we've kept, albeit Rory, Andy, and Scotty Crane are away on 2 ways as such. They're still skating with us. They're still part of the group. They were at the meal. Then Boydie was unsure for a while, depending on his work commitments. So we made sure that we could make that work again with a 2-way. So Christian Johnson was unable to play this year due to his work commitments. Obviously Horner and Richard Bentham, we knew, were retiring. So we didn't want to actually lose anybody because of our philosophy and the identity we have. And we've managed to do that. So I think it's still exciting times here.
Absolutely. We're just about out of time, but I'm going to let you go for one last message to the fans in advance of the weekend.
Just firstly, thank you for your support and continuing to support this group, and really just we appreciate you, and we will be working as hard as we can this weekend to hopefully see as many of you guys here and enjoying our performance. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're fast and furious and physical and everything that you guys expect us to be, and ultimately try and win the game for you guys. But thank you, and enjoy the weekend, and we hope to see everybody here on Saturday night.
Martin, thanks for taking the time to speak to me. We appreciate it. We'll catch up throughout the season, no doubt. But good luck for the weekend.
Thanks, Andy. Always a pleasure.